Not yet.
Questions? There you go, Kristen.
Now that it's been a day, is there anything else that you can kind of pick apart from last night or anything else that stands out about yesterday's game?
Well, there's a million things, and that's obviously the difficult part of playing a team like that on the road, just in that environment. Every single excruciating detail in your mind is the difference in the game, and so the key to that is as you take inventory as a coach first and foremost, and our staff certainly has done that of ourselves, and then your unit, and then individually amongst the players, is you learn from it. You take inventory of it, you write it down, you look at it, you don't turn the page yet. You read the page, you digest it, you fix it, and then maybe you burn it and move forward. But yeah, there's in that kind of game, 1,000 little tiny details that make the outcome what it was.
Mark, it seemed like the tempo wasn't quite as fast last night. Was that something that was predetermined going in, or was it just how the game wore on? Yes
and no. How they defend brings up kind of some things where you want to whatever formation things a little bit differently, motion things a little bit differently. But when we were in go fast mode, we weren't going at the tempo we need to be operating at, and so that's something that we will certainly address and get situated.
Mark, with Charles Nelson coming back and seeing how effective he was that first couple of series, what happened afterwards? Did they just kind of make some adjustments because he didn't catch any balls after the first quarter?
A few things, but yeah, again, they're gonna make some adjustments. We did some things. Charles is a fantastic player, and we're gonna get him the ball, and they're gonna try to defend him. But there's always things that happen through the course of the game that can affect a guy's ability or not to get the ball.
Yes, Coach. Similar to Warren's question. Against Eastern Washington, you had like a third down, didn't get it, and then you just quickly got up, I think it was in the goal line, and got a touchdown on 4th and 1. When Freeman went over the pile, and then it looked like Adams was trying to hurry it up, and then they called timeout.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just kind of explain that sequence? Was that just what happened? Was that a breakdown or just something?
Well, they called timeout. I think. You said exactly what happened. We had the previous play, that whole sequence was bizarre. I think the ball was inches from the goal line, and it was in a different spot. And then we ended up jumping. And then the next play, I'm putting all my chips in that we're scoring right on the snap of their look. And you got to give them credit for making the play, and we'll fix up our end of it. And then, goal line plays are there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on down there, and we thought we had two good plays. Still think we had two good plays. They called timeout on the second one, and stopped us.
So you're saying that you were going to snap it on what you saw them, not just go. I mean, like at Eastern Washington, like you just went no matter what.
They called timeout. We were in a different. It was a different formation, a different look, and then we changed the play after they called timeout.
Since the beginning of the season, there was some talk that Braylon Addison may not be 100% after everything that happened last year. But after that return to start the second half, do you feel like that truly was the return of Braylon Addison?
I think last week helped a lot of getting out. He was kind of, I don't want to say unsure, but just of that last thing for a player coming back from a significant setback is just getting hit and making sure everything is okay and feels right, and they can feel confident going forward. And I think that happened in the first game, and now he's closer to being totally 100%.
Ryan, based on the reaction you gauged from your guys last night, how did that reaction compare to maybe the reaction after the Arizona loss last year?
Similar, and unfortunately we can fortunately and unfortunately, we can pinpoint reactions from losses. And so there's a few guys or a bunch of guys that were in that same locker room. And we just talked about how that galvanized us last year. And there's absolutely zero reason why that can't happen again. Again, we had so many little things, whether it's, gap errors, dropped interception. There's so many things that guys, again, you can sit there and watch film and go, oh my gosh. And that again, that's what makes it that much more frustrating, but you can't dwell on it. You have to fix it and move on. And again, we will, and they will.
Right here, Matt.
We knew McDowell and Calhoun were really good, but how do you feel like your linemen held their pressures that they presented?
Fairly well. I mean, they're very, very talented. Those guys in their front did some great things. We blocked them for the most part okay, but yeah, there's some unique skill sets in a couple of those guys that make life difficult. Vernon had some trouble seeing around those guys a couple times, and that led to broken plays. But yeah, they're very, very good.
Tyson Alger, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Mark. So yesterday in the press conference, Vernon's going out of his way to repeatedly say this loss is on him, this loss is on him, this loss is on him. How does that go over in the locker room? Because I'm sure those guys don't all peg this loss to be on him, but it seems to be kind of like a senior leadership move of him to kind of place this thing on him, at least in the media as it is.
Well, I think that's the natural reaction of a quarterback or a guy in a leadership position and a guy that has the ball in his hands a lot. And absolutely that'll resonate with guys. And again, the biggest thing is for Vernon or for me or every other person in our program is to individually look at yourself and how can you solve the problem. So as he takes the initiative to step up and admit the fault and all those things, that then hopefully will motivate everybody else to improve.
What can Vernon Adams improve upon?
I'm sorry. We'll come back to you.
Warren. Mark, kind of along that same line, and you'd be the perfect person to answer this as a former quarterback.
Use that term loosely.
How much did Vernon's index finger cause him maybe to overthrow Byron on that pass or some of those missed opportunities? Was there anything to that?
Anything that we say of that nature is an excuse, and we don't really get in that realm. Just all I can say to, for him is he's gotten it out like other guys out there that are getting other things out.
What can Vernon Adams improve upon going forward?
Oh, he can improve upon a ton of things. Just of being so new to the system of just knowing certain nuances and things that don't appear until a goal line situation or whatever it may be that you can't really simulate. Obviously, and I know he talked about it last night freely of just throwing the ball away a couple times when the moment calls for it. But at the same time, that's what makes him such a competitor. Is he? Those guys want the ball and they want to make the play, and sometimes throwing it to row 26 is the right play. But we have total confidence in him and all the other guys going forward.
Briefly switching speeds real quick. Did you watch any of Marcus's game today?
I saw a couple of the highlights, and I just saw the little ticker thing on ESPN when I walked by out here.
What were your thoughts on the little ticker thing and some of the highlights you saw?
Well, the ticker it's something to the effect of first day history or something. So that's pretty much par for the course in his world of breaking records on game one. So that's very cool and obviously very happy for him. And at the same time, I'd like to say not surprised.
Matt?
I know teams get the ball out quickly. At least Eastern Washington did with the quarterback. One sack and 87 pass attempts. Are you okay with the pressures that you guys are getting on quarterbacks, or are they doing stuff that just kind of minimizes that?
Well, you're never satisfied unless there's a ton of sacks and pressures. We did move him several times, and last night is that much more frustrating because I think we got to him. Our defense really rallied there at the end, and just to complement one another and finish that out would have been a huge confidence boost for everybody. But there's a bunch of plays where again it's a guy making a play on the ball downfield, or where they make two great interceptions. We had some chances for some more, and again, that's the difference in the game.
Back here, Joey. What was your assessment of the special teams unit as a whole?
Well, as a whole, okay. I thought, obviously the return game was great, and then frustrating, the pooch kicks and those kind of things that people are going to do because they don't want the ball in our returners' hands. Those are things that we work all the time, and the ball can never hit the ground in those situations, and it did a couple times, and so we'll clean that up. Had the one penalty, which was a tough one, and then our punt team was not as efficient as you'd like. Did a couple things good, did a couple things well. Kickoff coverage was really good. Matt Wogan kicked the ball really well. And one thing that was encouraging is our PAT team played their tails off. And that's always kind of a telltale sign of how a team is going to compete. On a snap where a lot of guys will take off. They played hard through the end.
Jerry?
Yeah, a question I've been getting, and I've been wondering at the game, not Sunday morning quarterbacking here. I'm trying not to, but
What else is this?
yeah. A lot of people ask me about, and one of the strengths of Vernon Adams seemed to be his ability to throw on the run, kind of like Mariota, and we haven't seen too many rollouts, and especially possibly on the 3rd and 7 in the last series. He's been a lot of pocket, but he didn't have anywhere to go basically on that play. But if he'd rolled out, wouldn't it have been a safer thing? And is there a reason he's not rolling out more?
Well, some of those things, we have done, and some things is a byproduct of how they play, how they defend. And there are times when we should have stayed in the pocket, and times when we should have been out of the pocket, and so those are all things that we will correct going forward.
Tyson, do you have any more questions?
I just with Dwayne Stanford yesterday, was he just not a huge part of the game plan? Were they covering him well? I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he was even targeted once last night.
He was defended exceptionally well a couple times, and Dwayne did a great job in the run game. That's kind of their MO defensively, is they're going to press the outside guys and try to really eliminate them in the game plan, and more of off coverage, so to speak, on the safeties and the number 2 receivers. But our outside guys weren't as involved, and that's again just of how they defend you.
Going back to Joey.
Early on, looked like the blocking on the outside with the receivers was really good. I know that's a point of pride for you guys. Was that something you were particularly happy with in this matchup? Yeah,
they did a nice job of that. Had a couple. A couple really big plays in the perimeter of just throwing it out there, and then a couple times just either a slightly different throw or a slightly different catch, and had a couple other big play opportunities. And that again is something you have to kind of manufacture your run game against Michigan State, and that was something that where we had to win, and by and large we did from that angle of it. Could have been better, could have been worse.
Any more questions? Okay, we have one more up for Warren.
Coach, the noise last night, it seemed like the silent snap count really worked. I think it was your left guard that was tapping Matt, I think. Is that something new, or is that something you've always worked on? When you go into events like that, or when you go into stadiums like that where it's loud, is that something that you worked on just this last week? Yeah, we've done that the last couple years, two and a half years. I'd be lying if I pinpointed that. Last couple years. And there's a few different ways you can do it and ways you can control the cadence. I thought we had the one jump that was the guard. There's a couple other questions that we'll have for the conference about a couple other situations, but that they did a good job of negating a great crowd.
Are you good, Tyson?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, last question from Jerry.
Looking ahead to Georgia State, think we'll see Jeff Locke get to play in this game a little more, or possibly. I I mean, I know you want to win, you want to stay injury free, but it is an opportunity maybe for more playing time for some guys, you think, in this game?
I don't know. We have, right now we're at this point of the day, we're cleaning everything up, trying to fix and improve and move on, and then just kind of generically game plan. And as we go forward the next couple of days, obviously we're going to try to do everything we can to score points on offense and special teams, and not let them score on defense, and we'll see who's in there. But yeah, we don't have any big plan of that at this point, no, sir. Thanks.